My name is Bret Jackelow. In 1988, I was driving home on my motorcycle and hit by a truck and was pinned between a brick wall and the truck itself. I was in hospital for a very long time. As a matter of fact, I was in traction for 19 months. And only then was there a 50% chance of me retaining my leg, with a huge pending fear of dying with an embolism. I developed a major addiction toward very strong chemicals, various painkillers, tranquilizers. My life fell apart. I had to sign a piece of paper giving the doctors permission where they would remove my hip. And that's where I lost the will to live.
My husband and I met Bret through a friend.
He seemed to have no direction, no self-confidence, no belief in himself, no hope. His family had given up on him with his repetitive negative behavior. I have a background in social work and disability, and I knew it would take something drastic for him to save his life. I said, I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is that you're going to New York. The bad news is that you have to complete a marathon. He turned to me and he said, what have you been smoking?
I remember just feeling so perplexed, but also quite excited, thinking that it would be rational to assume that we would be doing the race a year to a year and a half later. And only at the end of the conversation did I realize that the race was actually in four to 5 months. And it was on. My training started whilst in traction.
Well, I think we were worried about just about everything. He was left with a leg length discrepancy of about 12.5 centimeters. You know, considering how he was going to cover that amount of distance with the limitations he had, and whether he'd have the endurance and the muscle strength to actually pull it off. I think at the time he wasn't walking comfortably, let alone trying to do a marathon.
Hi, partner. The first time when he got out of hospital, we met on the promenade. I remember thinking, it's just to get into those trees. Probably not more than 50 meters.
I just felt as if I couldn't take the next 10 steps.
Bret overstepped a couple of times. I remember us having a few falls, and he really picked himself up and was not going to give up. Let's really move it up. We had spent so many hours on the road in preparation. I really knew that he believed that the start of the race was the end of his previous life, and the end of the race was the beginning of a new journey.
In the back of my mind, letting Lauren down was not up for discussion.
Let's just have a break, okay? Just get all
Well, the marathon is 26 miles. I thought that Bret was mentally prepared for this challenge. But my biggest concern was whether he was physically capable of such a long distance. And I thought it was a real responsibility for me. I could damage him for life. Maybe he would never walk again. And that was scary for me.
It was terrifying. It was terrifying. I didn't sleep the night before the race. You could feel the whole of New York was humming. The hype and the amount of people I have never in my life seen before.
Well, it's freezing cold in New York at that time. I think we were just fired up. We had just wanted it to start. We were with a team of disabled people. There was so much support and encouragement and attention that Bret didn't even have a minute to feel anything. It just swept him through. He was just smiling and being so encouraged every time a person called his name and said, well done, and he felt he was representing South Africa.
We got onto the bridge where there are literally 40,000 people and the bridge rocks like you're having a 7 or an 8 on a Richter scale.
And it was just amazing to actually watch. He was so focused on getting to that end, whatever it took. Just after halfway, it already got to a point where the roads were cleared and desolate, and there was no more crowd support.
We came across a street where initially I thought we had taken a wrong turn. And just wherever I looked, there were styrofoam cups and gel packs. And I remember my heart just dropping into my belly, thinking that I'd let the country down, that I'd let Lauren down, because it felt to me as if the race was over. I was just in too much pain. It was too soon. It was impossible. And I was angry at myself now. And I was also angry at Lauren.
Here was a guy that just felt a failure in life. If he didn't complete this race, I just thought there would be absolutely no hope going forward. And I was so thankful when a soldier came by who was carrying 50 kilos of sand in a backpack with 2 flags in memory of 2 of his friends that had just died in Afghanistan.
And I remember feeling so touched and proud of this guy for having such a huge drive and desire to want to do this for friends of his that he had lost.
And the 2 of them started encouraging each other and competing, and he was starting to breathe heavier and heavier, and he wanted to go faster and faster to try and get to the end quicker. And I thought, don't have a heart attack on me now.
When I finally saw the finish line ahead of me, I just locked my head down and I just bit the bullet and gave it everything, everything. And when I crossed that line, I remember being able to take 2 to 3 more steps before I literally collapsed.
It just seems like a dream. When I think back now, for me it was achieving the impossible. It's not what we dealt, it's how we actually play the hand that we dealt. And in life we really don't have any control over anything except the attitude that we choose to adopt.
I believe in myself today because of it, because I crossed that finish line. And the testimony is that not much is impossible with the right amount of